It's tricky because I've said it before. It's almost like a running joke, but and this is an extreme example. It's like, you have some people that are working heel, and it seems like a lot of times today when the heel actually makes people angry or actually gets people pissed off, which I guess is supposed to be their job, that's when they get in trouble, And in a situation like this, though, obviously there's a reason for it, but it's so odd to me now how we like our heels to be safe. It's like you don't want to cross that line. You don't want to go too far. You want us to be able to laugh with you or enjoy it without being actually angry at you. And that's kind of an odd thing that's changed in wrestling.
Part of the psychology has changed in that now everybody knows that whatever is being said, chances are 99.9% probable that it's been okayed by the promotion and that nobody's being surprised by anything. Whereas in every previous era of wrestling, and again, you've got Uncle Dave tries to say, oh, well, there's exposés in the newspaper in the 1920s that proves that everybody thought wrestling was bullshit. No, it's a completely more complex issue than simple, superficial minds can understand. In that, yes, people have always looked at wrestling like they've always looked at the games at the carnival, like they've always looked at a lot of other things. Yeah, shit, but they didn't know. They didn't know how. They didn't know who. They didn't know to what extent or in what way. They know that goddamn David Copperfield didn't make the fucking elephant disappear, or they didn't flatten Chris Angel with the steamroller, but they can't figure it out. And what the fuck if it looks good enough, and if you're just goddamn had a cocktail or in the right frame of mind or want to believe, you can fall into it. That's always been the case. And that's when a heel could offend people, but there were still lines that couldn't be crossed because people overlook, no, Hans Schmidt didn't carry a Nazi flag into the goddamn ring and do interviews where he praised his poor leader, the late Adolf, right? He looked German. His name was Hans Schmidt. He was really French Canadian from Montreal. He wore a metal helmet, sometimes with the Iron Cross. The Von Brauners did that. The Iron Cross way back in the fucking Kaiser days. You were German enough that the people's mind filled in the rest. And same thing with the Japanese, because we'd been mad at them. Just they're Japanese and they admit it. Even when they weren't, they admit they're Japanese and they're foreign. They throw the salt in the eyes and they got that karate.
They're sneaky. That was always the thing. They were sneaky. They would bow.
Pearl Harbor.
Right. They would bow and smile. That was a big thing they would always do because they were trying to seem harmless, but they would sneak attack you. And Pearl Harbor, I love the idea of Pearl Harbor being used as a verb. I think that's something
that is a locker room term now.
Yeah, Gorilla Monsoon used
in my days.
Well, Gorilla Monsoon used to use it all the time.
Yeah, but nevertheless, and then whoever we were mad at, as you know well, the Middle Eastern contingents over the time, the sheiks and the Arabs and the terrible Turks and whatever, but you couldn't just come out and say, yes, I'm in support of Adolf Hitler. Mussolini may not have had as much heat over here as the other ones did.
It would be hinted at. Although the Iron Sheik did used to mention the Ayatollah, I think, directly. Well, Ayatollah Khomeini.
Actually, that's why he had nuclear heat and didn't give a shit whether people tried to come after him or not. And they got away with it because I think, honestly, I don't think the Iron Sheik would have flown 20 years earlier because more people were smart to the business. It wasn't that there was fewer people who would be offended. It's that there were more people smart to it's a show, like the TV programming people or whatever, rather than it would have caused a serious issue, definitely in the 50s, and certainly on local TV in the 60s, even the 70s. But nevertheless, so that's the point, is that you've got to know you can't go in front of the goddamn leaders of the country and or their representative with guns and go that far. But that's why heels have always been offensive, because you went far enough that the people's mind would draw the rest of the picture, and they would imagine from there. There, my fucking idiot ex-mailman thankfully got transferred out of here before I had to fucking go get a post office box to have everything rerouted. He believed Barack Obama was a Muslim. You know, he's a Muslim. What the fuck? Put your fucking truck on out of here. Because to a simple mind, the name and the fact that he's not white indicates that he should be wearing the fucking turban and the blah, 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 or whatever, because they're simpletons. So all you needed to do in any previous generation was look the part, be visually what that they are offended by, scared of, afraid of, mad at, whatever, and then let their minds fill in the rest. And not get kicked off of television.
No, definitely not. That reminds me of Muhammad Hassan. What they did with him.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. He was
a shame.
He had a wonderful gimmick as Mark Magnus, this year's model, fucking physique like that, wearing black pleather pants and a jet black hair. He's fucking Italian. He's got a beautiful girl in a bikini next to him in OVW. They take him, they make him a fucking Arab and have him try to cut people's heads off after a terrorist attack.
I remember, I don't know if you had ever heard this, but I remember when they were bringing him up, and this tells you all you need to know, when they were trying to create that persona for him, the way it was explained to me, because I would sit in on these writing meetings that I didn't want to be in with all the TV writers. I mean, they would stick us in there like a fly in the wall. And the idea of Muhammad Hassan was they wanted to play off of those old stereotypes like the Sheik, the original Sheik, or the Iron Sheik. But I think they were even more thinking of the original Sheik. But this was their words, this was their description. They didn't want it to be the stereotype of what you would think. They wanted him to be intelligent, well-spoken. He could speak English. They wanted him to be able to do his own promos, and they also had Davari with him. So they wanted to have almost like an Americanized version of the Sheik is what they were going for. It was just a strange balance that they were going for. And of course, it blew up in their face.
I can believe that the Sheik might try to fucking behead somebody in modern times, but at the same point, I can't believe their timing. And I can't believe they thought they could get away with it at that particular point in time. But I'd also, again, the idea of a modern Sheik is wonderful, but the guy was fucking Italian. Fuck, thank God at least he was educated. He's a principal of a fucking school, a highly respected educator up there in New York State. I guess as respected as any smart people in New York State can be.
Wait a minute now.